Hey everyone, and welcome to this quick, fast-paced explainer. Today, we're diving into a really landmark scientific paper from 2011 by Sparrow, Leo, and Wigner. It's called Google Effects on Memory. We're going to distill this fascinating research down into a concise summary, focusing squarely on the results. We'll look at what these researchers actually wanted to find out, how they ran the study, what their key findings were, what it means for us in the real world, and, of course, the study's limitations.
But first, let me ask you something. Do you actually remember the capital of Madagascar right off the top of your head? Or did your brain just instantly tell you to grab your smartphone? If you felt that urge to search, well, you're perfectly demonstrating the exact phenomenon we're unpacking today. To understand exactly why your brain does that, we need to look at the core concept of this study, transactive memory. Now, this isn't a new idea. Us humans, we've always shared memory externally. Think about it. In a family, you might rely on your partner to remember birthdays or a coworker to remember a specific piece of code. What's revolutionary now is that we aren't just sharing memory with other humans anymore, we're applying this deeply rooted habit directly to machines.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. We'll cover the objective, the methodology, key findings, practical implications, limitations, and wrap up with the top 5 insights. Starting right off with part 1, the research objective. So, what exactly did Sparrow, Liu, and Wagner want to find out? Put simply, they wanted to know if having constant, immediate online access has literally changed our cognitive processes. Their hypothesis? That the internet has become our primary external memory system. They wanted to see if our brains are now wired to encode where to find facts instead of actually memorizing the facts themselves.
Moving right along to part 2, the study methodology. How did they pull this off? Well, the researchers designed 4 specific experiments to measure how much we rely cognitively on digital info. Step 1 used a modified Stroop task, basically a classic reaction time test measuring mental flexibility. They tested reaction times to computer-related words right after participants tried answering really hard trivia questions. Steps 2 and 3 had people typing out trivia facts, but here's the catch. The researchers tricked them into believing the computer had either saved or erased those facts. Finally, Step 4 tested recall to see if participants remember the actual trivia fact or just the specific computer folder where it was saved. Which brings us to part 3, the main findings.
Now, what's really interesting here is that reaction times for search engine brands like Google and Yahoo spiked significantly right after participants faced those tough general knowledge questions. This proved that when we hit a gap in our knowledge, we are fundamentally primed to turn to a computer. Literally, just not knowing an answer automatically triggers our brain to think of a search engine. Next up, we have the results from experiments 2 and 3. When participants believed the trivia they typed had been saved by the computer, their internal recall of those facts was, well, terrible. But when they were told the info was erased, their ability to remember it was significantly better. It's a pretty striking irony. Just expecting our computer to save a piece of information makes our brain intentionally relax and forget it. We simply don't encode it internally because we completely trust the machine to hold on to it for us.
And experiment 4 brilliantly illustrates this point. Looking at the recall data, participants remembered where the statements were kept far better than the statements themselves. Even if they had completely forgotten the actual fact, they easily remembered exactly which generic folder the file was saved in.
Let's shift to part 4, practical implications.
The researchers summed up the real-world impact perfectly with this powerful quote. "We are becoming symbiotic with our computer tools, growing into interconnected systems that remember less by knowing information than by knowing where the information can be found." Practically speaking, human memory is fundamentally adapting to our tech. We're treating the internet as a highly efficient partner in our transactive memory system. We don't need to be walking encyclopedias anymore. We just need to be excellent searchers and navigators of our digital files.
Next up, part 5, limitations to consider.
While the findings are absolutely robust, the researchers did note a few caveats to maintain academic rigor. First, there was an element of cue dependency in the folder recall tasks in experiment 4, meaning participants were given a cue word to help them remember the folder. Second, there was an unbalanced number of trivia statements compared to the number of generic folders. And third, the folder names were never explicitly called to the participants' attention during the task. These limitations are definitely important to keep in mind when evaluating the breadth of the recall data.
Finally, part 6, the top 5 insights. So, the absolutely crucial point of this study boils down to these 5 independent takeaways. Number 1, knowledge gaps actively prime us to think of search engines. Number 2, we remember facts significantly better if we think they're going to be permanently erased. Number 3, just the expectation of having future digital access actively stops our internal memory encoding. Number 4, our brains now prioritize remembering where to find information over what the information actually is. And number 5, the internet essentially acts as a massive ongoing transactive memory system for the human race.
Which leaves us with one final provocative thought. We've clearly built an incredible symbiotic relationship with our devices. But if you lost your internet connection tomorrow, how much of your own memory would you lose right along with it? Think about that the next time you go to search for the capital of Madagascar. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.